Hello, hey Hamid. So this is interesting. I think this might be the first time we're having a convention panel where it's just me and you. Like, so s- welcome everyone. Welcome to this panel where we will be talking about Kugali's collaboration with Disney Animation on the show Iwájû. We will also be talking about the other creative things we do at Kugali. My name is Tolu Olowofoyeku. I'm one of the co-founders of Kugali, and with me is my co-founder Hamid Ibrahim. So for today's panel, I will be interviewing Hamid, which I find very interesting because, well, usually people are interviewing the two of us together, but I could get used to this. So just to tell you a bit more about Hamid, Hamid is a CG artist with years of experience working on Hollywood blockbusters, and he has created augmented reality experiences that have been experienced, for lack of a better word, by literally millions of people, tens of millions. For Iwájú, he's the production designer, which means he's responsible for building the world, the look and world of Iwájú. And his goal to lead African visual media to internationally adjacent levels of quality is what got us here, I would say. Now, let's see, what else can I say about Hamid? Yes, he gyms way too much. So, yeah, Hamid, let's see. You introduce me. Let's see how you do.
I think you've covered quite a bit. Only thing I'll add in is obviously I always like to emphasize I'm from Uganda because most people know Tolu and Ziki are from Nigeria, and Iwájú is based in Nigeria. So some people almost assume I'm from Nigeria. So I like to put up there. I like to big up my country, Uganda. So I'm from Uganda. I was born in Uganda. I spent 10 years in Kenya, then back to Uganda. Then I have been in England for officially 10 years now, which is a bit crazy to think about from my end. But yeah, I think that's all that's missing. Yeah, that's it. Apart from, oh yeah, my previous career before joining Kugali was in visual effects. As you can see up there, the little framed thing there, that's when I worked on the Lion King remake. And the reason I have that framed up there because Lion King was actually one of the films that inspired me to go into animation. And it's one of my all-time favorite films. Always been my top three favorite films of all time, like films in general. And one more thing to add about that, in terms of the circle of life. So the film inspired me, and then I worked on the remake, which was my dream come true. And then right now, the visual effects supervisor in Iwájú actually worked on the original Lion King to just bring that whole sample of life thing through. So that was really interesting. That was really just like almost like a dreamy moment. Feels like a film. So yeah, that's like an intro of me right there.
Great. Okay, so just before we talk about Iwájú, since I introduced you, you can introduce me.
Let me see how well I do. It's almost like I feel set up right now to do. But yeah, so Tolu, my other co-founder. Yeah, the screen is that. Yeah, there you go. My other co-founder. The best way I can describe Tolu is okay. In Kugali, he's in charge of all the tech. CTO of Kugali, going to get. I don't know if that's public information yet. Tolu will say what I was about to say. If that's public yet, I can't remember quite properly. Tolu is very big in the gaming industry in Nigeria. He knows everybody in the gaming industry in Nigeria. Loves creating games and loves playing games just equally as much. And him and Ziki are big into anime. I feel left out sometimes. My little sister loves anime as well, which makes it worse. She's like, these two guys love anime. What's up with you? I watch a little bit of anime, but not as much. I do enjoy some of them. When I watch them, I really enjoy them, but I just don't put them on as often as Tolu, Zeki, and my little sister in this case as well. I think that's what I can introduce Tolu. But yeah, he's like a gaming wizard in the African space.
Great. All right. So let's talk about Iwájú, and let's assume someone watching this panel for some reason they clicked on this panel, but they've never actually heard about Iwájû and they don't know anything, like literally nothing, what's the first thing we tell them?
First thing we tell them, okay, this is a very monumental project, right? In very different rights. So think of it like this: if you've never heard about Iwájú, first of all, that's weird, but it is what it is. Just for the one person who went to space. Okay, Iwájú is the first time in history, the largest animation studio, the biggest animation studio throughout the whole of history, right? The people who are trendsetters in history to ever collaborate with anyone, not just Black people, not just Africans. It's the first time in history that ever collaborated with anyone to create an original project, right? That's the first step of it. The second step of it is actually a line Tolu used really well. Iwájú is a love letter to Lagos. That's the best way we can describe what this animation is gonna be. Those will be the two kind of first milestones, and then to describe the actual thing in actuality is Iwájú is a series of, it's a long form serialized film. That's the best way I can describe it. It's gonna be a series, but we can just call it a serialized film at this point. So yeah, that's how I can describe it. So Kugali Disney mashup to create some magic for all you guys out there.
Yeah. So Hamid and I co-founded Kugali alongside my childhood friend Ziki. Ziki is not here right now, but Ziki is the writer and director of Iwájû. So Ziki and I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm currently in Lagos, Nigeria. Ziki is in the UK. And when we got the opportunity to write, to collaborate with Disney Animation on a project, on an animated project, we had a bunch of ideas. One of them was Iwájû. We had some other ideas, and personally, I was hoping we were going to do Iwájû first because I was like, okay, these other ideas, okay, this one is like, you know, without divulging anything, we had other ideas. But I wanted Iwájû because it was set in real life Lagos. I was like, Lagos is not a fictional place. Lagos is where I've spent my entire life. And doing a show set in Lagos would be so awesome for me. And luckily, it's not like I forced it. It's what ended up happening by the time we explored all our options, and it was a very collaborative process. So I've said it before that Disney Animation did not just ask us, "Hey, pitch us some ideas. Let's see what sticks." They literally trained us on how to pitch to them. So that was really cool. So when I say it's the entire process has been collaborative, it feels like they're training us, but they are giving us creative freedom. So it's like they are guiding us, right? They're not going to let us do something that is not Disney quality, obviously. And we don't want to do anything that is not Disney quality. So as much as in our heads we have really great ideas, but we may not know how to execute it that well, which is where they've been guiding us in the whole creative process. Now, Hamid has already told you quite a bit about Iwájû, and the only other thing I can tell you without spoiling any of the story or cast or anything yet is the series is set in Lagos, but in the future, sometime in the future. So a futuristic version of Lagos, Nigeria. And the story will be exploring deep themes of class, innocence, and challenging the status quo. Now, on the project, I'm the cultural consultant because I'm right here in Nigeria, spent all my life here. And Hamid, who is Ugandan, has never been to Nigeria. So seeing as Hamid has never been to Nigeria and he's in charge of creating all the visuals, I have to make sure he doesn't create something that I'm like, yeah, you would never see that in Nigeria. That doesn't look Nigerian at all. But Hamid, because you're in charge of all the visuals, what would you like to say about the look of Iwájû?
Cool. Tech people, I think I'm gonna share my screen right now. Tech people, let me know if you guys can see it. I'll just drop you my message as well. I think that was the keyword, right? There, perfect. It's sharing. Nice.
Yep.
So this is a first look image, which is to us it's very old. To me, I thought we have moved away from this. And I think if anybody here was in the an Annecy Festival, I was about to say it in the way to say it, you probably have seen a little bit more of the imagery in here, right? But just sharing this first look image about the visuals of this world, there are a few things you think about, right? So there are a lot of things we can talk about now. So I'll run you guys through this image and describe those things one by one. It's probably going to be the longest segment, right? So first things first, right? You'll notice that there are two characters here who shall not be named. I'll try my best not to be like the Spider-Man guy when he spoils things. Uh, you know what I'm talking about. But over here on this side, that's an island. That's a part of Lagos which is you find a lot more wealthier people here. Not everybody is wealthy, but a lot more people there are wealthy in current day Lagos, and that's the mainland where you'll find more of like the lower class, middle class there, right? Not everybody is lower class, middle class, but a good amount of them are. Now, in our world, because it's taking place in the future, we kind of wanted to really amplify that separation. And that's as Tolu mentioned in some interview ago, that separation is a very good kind of story moment in itself, in that it's already real. There's a physical water body separating, for example, the have from the have-nots in this case, right? And we wanted to really expand on that in this futuristic world. Now, a few things which are very clear is when you look over here on the mainland, you'll notice that everything is very congested. There's these really huge tall towers, and there's no real sense of finesse to it. That's the best I can put it. In that everything in this side of the world will be very functional, right? And these tall towers are pretty much cities created to hold the large population of people in Lagos. So if you think about Lagos population right now is very, very high. And in the future, they're predicting it's gonna almost quadruple, right? So imagine this part of the city is literally created with a sole purpose in mind. We have these tons of people here. How do we hold them? And obviously, anytime you wanna increase the number of things you can hold, you add a z-axis to it. So these towers are really humongous. They go all the way up. If you can think about that being a building, and that's all the way in the distance, and it goes all the way up there, just to hold people. Now, on the other side of this city, where we have the island, here the design process is a lot different. In the newer image, it's easier to describe. But here, it's more like the city was created with a sole purpose of flexing. Almost like think about Dubai, how Dubai is just creating things to flex. That's why part of the city is. So the goal here is not to hold the population. The goal here is to create an African art piece that the rich people in Lagos live inside, right? That's where this island bit is gonna come. Now that's one thing you can already tell in this world, and you'll notice here we have this thing here, which is like a flying car in flying keke. Before Tolu kills me, it's a flying keke. Now you notice with these tall towers, in terms of Lagos, it's very chaotic. With the traffic in Lagos is hyper chaotic as well. And in this world here, what we're doing with the flying keke, well, is think of it like a means of transport that's going up and down this tower and around it. So the same way, let's say if you're to board a taxi in England, let's say when somebody's like, hey, take me to this street over here you can be, take me to this level on south side or something like that. And there's that chaos happening in the z-axis as well as on the ground. So there are a bunch of cars on the ground just colliding with each other. There's also a bunch of cars going up and down, trying to fight for your attention, trying to get that attention to get up there. So that's a few things I can describe about the visuals here based on this image we're seeing right now. Well, I see a bunch of questions are flying in. Let me see. Tolu, are you there? Oh, Tolu has frozen. I'll go through the questions as we get back, Tolu. So I see somebody's asking, were you guys nervous when you made the collaboration? On my side, definitely not nervous. I'm not one to get nervous most of the time, especially if it's
Great. So for anybody that knows real life Lagos, you know that. Yeah. So anybody that knows real life, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I
Can
think
you
there's a
hear me?
lag as well. Yeah, there's a lag as well. It's gonna give it about a minute lag, which is a long lag. Example of Lagos internet right there, right there. If you guys can hear Tolu, let me know. I don't know whose internet is bad.
Okay.
Is it my internet or Tolu's
Okay. If
internet?
my internet is bad, I'll just have to type my bits. So Hamid might have to keep going for a while.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll just answer a few questions, and Tolu will ask me the questions in the chat. And then I'll ask him a question as well, and he'll reply on the chat as well. So I was talking about the collaboration. Me personally, I was talking about the nerves. I don't really get nervous most of the time, in that because nervousness is usually an interpretation of emotion itself, right? Usually you just feel tight or something. Like the feeling of nervousness and the feeling of excitement is often about the same, and your interpretation of it is what translates into that. And I've always been a person. I used to dance when I was young. I used to go on stage, so I always found a way to turn what was called nervousness, because it's the same emotion, into excitement. So I've never. It's very hard to get me in a situation where I'm like, "Ooh, I'm nervous." I don't remember it. The last time I was probably nervous was when I was about like 10 years old, and I was going to talk to a crush, my crush or something. So that's on the nerves bit. And Tolu says he definitely was not nervous either. So that's on Tolu's side. I'll just go through the questions. I know Tolu is going to type in questions as well, and I'll answer his questions when they turn up. Oh, are they awesome? Not the evil mega cops. Some people make them out to be. Uh,
Okay, how do I sound now?
you're still lagged behind. We can hear you, but it's just like a few seconds behind. Can you speak the moment I finish speaking right now?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're 8 seconds lag behind me, I think. If that was the response.
I am speaking the moment Hamid finishes speaking right now.
Okay, not 8 seconds. You're about 15 seconds behind.
Oh my god, I can see his fingers counting. It's like 8 seconds.
Yeah, so there's quite a big lag. I think we'll use a chat
Oh,
on
okay, but if it's 8 seconds, but you can hear me clearly, I think we can work with that. I'll just figure out what to say. Oh my god. Okay, well, I'll say the next thing and then I'll ask Hamid another question. So Hamid is going to have to do Hamid is going to have to do most of the talking. My network is terrible. Part of the perks of living in Lagos, people. So now this image Hamid is showing, you can see the three bridges that connect the island and the mainland. Anybody that knows the real life Lagos knows those three bridges and knows the names of every bridge. In this image, you can also see the National Stadium at Surulere on the mainland side, and you see a flying keke. Those are just a few clues we put in this image to give people an idea of the world of this story. Now, I would like to ask Hamid a question. You, what kind of we came up with some tech. We came up with some tech is going to feature in this world. Tech, and so what would you say is the difference between tech in real life right now and tech in this future version of Lagos? And like the thought process we had behind designing make it feel Nigerian and make it feel like it really belongs here, and we didn't just put tech in for the sake of
Cool. I think I got Tolu's question asking about tech. Tolu, by the way, I know you hear me responding 20 seconds later, so yeah, just be patient on that. Cool. So about the tech difference in current day Lagos versus, or current day world even in general, versus the future we have created. Uh, I'll start with the ones which are very directly in related to Lagos themselves. Now, Lagos has a very high population and there's a very high disregard for traffic. So if you've ever been in Uganda, same thing. Tolu convinces me that Lagos is busier. I'll see when I get there in terms of traffic being absolutely crazy. And ways people have dealt with this, imagine there's already crazy traffic right now. Imagine the population goes up with crazier traffic. So a few modifications in this world to help people navigate the world are in this world, instead of having circular wheels being like cylinders, we have spherical wheels. Because of that, that allows the car to drive in, like the car can drive sideways, front, back, and even spin on the spot, just to maneuver the traffic and maneuver the potholes and the people around it very easily. So that's one tech thing we have done in this world. Another one, apart from just the maneuverability, is there are a lot of vendors in Lagos. As Tolu once said, Lagos Street is probably one of the biggest malls in the world. You can buy anything from there all the way. I think we had a video of somebody selling a crocodile on the street. which is absolute crazy to me. So you can think about that. Now, in this world, to help vendors maneuver again the huge large population, that's quite the mainland now. The vendors have an exoskeleton that helps them carry their load on their head. So a vendor could carry something like 100 kilos, okay, maybe around 80 kilos on their head very easily with this, and they can just bring it down and sell, or even sell it straight from their heads. So with these exosuits allow them to have a mobile selling ground where they can sell a ton of things, and they can also, because it has a gimbal on it as well, it allows people to maneuver the area very easily. So if you can imagine that, just an exoskeleton that's holding up a huge thing on your head to allow you to move around, maneuver as you're selling things through the crowded streets of Lagos. Another thing is the cars themselves, between the cars of the wealthier people and the people who are not as wealthy. You can easily tell the difference when they're driving, in that if there are potholes on the road, the wealthier people have what we call hard light or tangible energy here, where they can project it over the pothole and they'll just drive smoothly over the pothole. So when you look in the roads in our world and you see cars going in and out of potholes while other cars are just driving smoothly through, you can easily tell that this person is of this social class versus that social class. So these are a few things which are technology-wise directly related to Lagos. And then another one which will be is augmented reality in the world. So in our world, okay, today we have normal mobile phones, and then we have the old T9 phones. In Iwájû's world, the mobile phones we have right now, which are smartphones, will be the equivalent of the
So,
T9
like
phones.
Hamid has said, we put all these ideas in to make it look like an advanced version of real Lagos.
Yeah, I know Tolu is behind. He's probably going to hear me after a little bit. But so with the T9 phones are going to be the smartphones are equivalent to the T9 phones. And then on the other side, when you have the smartphones,
Yeah,
obviously,
sorry, Hamid. I thought you were done. I thought you were done, but finish with what you were saying about the AR. Oh my God, this lag.
yeah, Tolu, I'll just say, just type. The lag is about 30 seconds now. So yeah, augmented reality glasses are smartphones in the world. And one thing cool about us, because we do augmented reality right now already, which this means is we already know a lot of the philosophies of AR. I'll show you guys some fun things as well during the Q&A, which we can do it with AR on the video call as well, which will be quite cool in terms of just superimposing images on top of other things. So those will be the tech elements in Iwájû. I'll go through another question. Let me see. I'm waiting for a question from Tolu with the internet, or from you guys. Let me go through another one from you guys.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I just want to point out when Hamid mentioned a video. When Hamid mentioned a video showing someone selling a crocodile on the roadside, I took that video myself because I was walking to my office and I saw like literally someone selling a crocodile on the roadside. I was like, what? But yeah, you can buy literally everything in Lagos traffic. You can buy literally anything in Lagos traffic except real estate. So yeah, and what else could we say about Iwájû? I don't think there's much we can say for now because for now we just want to discuss the world. We're going to talk about the story and show visuals at a later date. For now, just take this as a sneak peek. So we can talk about some of the other work at Kugali, the kind of work that made Disney Animation decide to collaborate with us in the first place. So I think one nice way to start would be for Hamid to tell you guys how the collaboration with Disney came about. Like we had a BBC interview that led to it. So just tell them about the BBC interview, how that led to the collaboration. Then I guess we can talk about what the BBC interview focused on in the first place so that we just use that to let them know some of the other work we do at Kugali.
Cool. So in terms of other work at Kugali, so I'll talk about how we ended up in this position with Disney. So what happened was we had just launched the first ever African comic book anthology. That is a Comic Con. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here would know about it. So we had just launched that and it did quite well. And then BBC wanted to interview us. When BBC interviewed us, right, it was a whole day of interviews, asked us a whole bunch of questions. We went through all the questions. Now, in one of the questions they were like, can't remember the exact question, but I said the statement, we are going to kick business ass in Africa. Now, when I said that statement, in my head, I was like, oh, that's a bit aggressive. That was my thought. I was thinking, they're definitely not going to use that in the article. Turns out, or in the video, turns out that's what they actually put as the actual heading of the whole video and article was African company going to kick business ass, and that got the attention on the other end. And when it got the attention, I think one of the executives at Disney sent us a message on LinkedIn. Now, a lot of people ask me, did I really mean that when I said that segment of we are going to kick business ass in Africa? Yes, I definitely meant it. And the reason I have that thought, and the reason I still believe if Disney did not pick us up, we're going to kick the asses is, if you think about Africa and all the cultures in Africa, right? There are loads of stories. I'm from Uganda. Just in Uganda, right? There are about over 50 cultures there, 50 distinct cultures, almost completely distinct languages as well, right? And all of them have an origin story and stories and nuclear myths and legends, right? Now, you pick up all these stories, which are myths and legends. The abundance of stories, it would be like just walking past a gold coin every single time you go down a street. There's gonna come a time somebody's gonna pick it up. And what I meant by we're gonna kick this ass is, we know, I think you guys said honestly, right? We know the talent is there in Africa. We're proving it right now as well when you're working in Disney. It's just a lack of opportunity, and the opportunities are starting to come up slowly. And with the abundance of stories there, if there are all these opportunities in there, if Disney did not kind of join the game with making African stories, we would definitely be giving them a good run of their money. I fully believe that. People still think, oh, maybe it's a joke. No, I completely believe that. If they did not jump on the game to try and tell some African stories, they were definitely gonna get like, yeah, we were definitely gonna come for them. That's the best way I can put it. But yeah, just me trying to be as polite as possible. Tolu, you can jump on now if you can see me. Yeah, I definitely think that lag got much, much longer.
Disney props that they are actually spearheading getting African stories to the whole world right now. Because yeah, apart from Iwájû, which we has also announced another African animated series where it's going to be 10 different short films, each about 10 minutes long, and each of those short films is coming from a different African country. So it's almost like our African comics anthology, which is the project we did that got us the BBC interview. We crowdfunded an African comics anthology where we had comics from different parts of Africa. We handpicked the best ones, collaborated with the creators, and put out this amazing anthology called the Kugali Anthology. You can check it out on our website, kugali.com. We have a lot of other awesome comics there. But my point is, Disney Animation, apart from Iwájû, which is a long form series that we are collaborating, um, it's it's really nice. I think it's a really great thing. It's like the whole with great outcomes, great responsibility thing. They have the resources that most animators in Africa don't have yet. They are offering the resources to help us get our stories out there. We were going to get the stories out there even if they did not do this, but they are accelerating the process, and I think that's a very good thing. And I just want to voice out my appreciation to Disney Animation for this. Mm, Now, yeah, Hamid, you're not really an anime person. I know you're also not really a comic book person, but one of these is to create comics. And of course, you're very involved. I mean, you're in charge of all the artists at Kugali. You get to tell them what to do and what not. So, that being said, you've ended up reading a bit more a few more comics than you usually would. Curious, as a person who is not traditionally a comic book fan, what are your favorite Kugali titles?
I like that Tolu is asking this question like he doesn't know my favorite Kugali titles. Uh, so I think before Kugali, because I was more, the best way I describe myself, I like, because my idols are Leonardo da Vinci, so I like the commercial art and science. So as I told you, my first career was in visual effects. Again, that was art and science. I was a rigger, which is more focusing on the muscle simulation and things like that, so on that side, right? So I like the design aspect of things. So I'd always like looking at beautiful design. Now, when it comes to comics, I'd only read like maybe there was a comic in Africa called Super Striker. That's one I read religiously. But other than that, I would just read comics here and there when they were around and I saw them. And funny thing is, I would enjoy them. Within Kugali, obviously, now I read way more comics. I read a lot more comics. I read obviously all our comics. They're amazing, all of them. In terms of my favorites would be there's Kain and Abin. The one always been like that one has always been one of my favorite ones. And then we have Lake of Tears is absolutely amazing. Don't won an award. He won a novel award for best graphic novel. Story is really touching story. Nani is obviously by our co-founder Ziki. That's another one that I really like. You said top three. Let me see if I don't think I can arrange them in order. I'll put Nani at the top because Ziki did it, so you guys will never know which the top one is. So I'll put Nani at the top, and then right below that I'll put oh, they put
And Lake of Tears 2 will be out before the end of this year, so you guys can keep an eye out for that.
yeah. So Nani, Lake of Tears, then Nani kind of been the Lake of Tears. Yeah, that's the order. That's the order right there.
I think the lag might have gone. Hamid responded to me almost immediately after I spoke. Oh, that's great.
Okay, I think we're in Q&A
Yeah,
time
it's
now.
probably just like 5 seconds max.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, Hamid, because I know we are running a bit low on time, let me just talk a bit about the comics and then I'll ask you another question. Well, definitely for me, when we first started, most of the comics we put out were collaborations with other comic creators across Africa. We didn't have the resources to create everything in-house. We didn't really see the need to because, I mean, we're mostly Nigerian and Ugandan. I think a good third of the company is Uganda and another third is Nigerian. Then the last third is like a very good mix of the rest of the continent. And if we create everything in house, then you'd be getting stories from mostly two places. So we've always had a collaborative nature. It right from before we met up with Disney Animation. It's been part of our DNA. We collaborate with others a lot. And I think one of the reasons I liked many of our comics was that I felt like even if I'd never started this company, if I had seen these comics somewhere, I would have loved them. So it's not like that's why we even reached out to those people to collaborate with them in the first place because we saw their work and was like, this is awesome. Let's talk to this guy. So that's one thing I'm really happy about our creative process. And like I said, Ziki is my childhood friend. So when I read Nani, we've put out 2 volumes of Nani, and each volume is roughly 120 pages. So you have about, let's say, 250 pages of awesome comic to read if you want to get to Nani. But when I read Nani, I feel really happy and proud because I'm like, this is the guy that used to tell me stories as a kid in junior high school, American term. We call it junior secondary school in Nigeria. But when we were in JS1, in JS2, Ziki would be making up stories and distracting me in class with those stories. But now his storytelling is so good that like I read Nani and I'm like, whoa, this is some good stuff. So I just really love that about our storytelling. And by the way, I've said a lot about how Hamid is in charge of visuals and Ziki writes. So at this point, some of you may be wondering, wait, what does Tolu even do for the creative process? Well, I work with the editorial team. We go through everything, even before we start drawing, we go through the core concept of a story and review it. We go to the script when they're ready and review it. We go to the art when it's ready and review it. So all of that, I work with the editorial team. I'm also in charge of all the tech at Kugali, website, mobile app is coming soon. There's a lot of awesome stuff coming soon from Kugali. You guys should be checking Kugali.com every other week, or just follow us on social media at Kugali Media on almost all social media platforms. Kugali Media, except Snapchat. We are Kugali.ar there because I don't know why Hamid chose Kugali.ar on Snapchat instead of Kugali Media, but Hamid does all this awesome work with Snapchat, and I'm pretty sure he would love to talk about that. So, Hamid, take it away. If you have your snap camera, maybe show them a mask or two. I was going to do that myself, but the way my network has been acting, I think it's too risky for me to try loading up some of that right now.
Cool. Thanks for that, Tolu. By the way, we're waiting for a few questions from the chat. As we're doing that, I'm gonna in Kugali, all three of us have individual masks which represent us. Now the mask that represents me is that one right there. Now this is an augmented reality process as well. Now you'll notice that this mask is pretty much tracking my head and talking the way I talk, and obviously the blinking and everything, eyebrows, as you can see, smile. Oh, so that's part of augmented reality. Now, we do a lot of things like this. This is just an example. This is the ones we can run live right now. And we can do it with different characters. I know I mentioned a comic book, Momo Juju, earlier on. Uh, so this is Momo Juju. This is one of the characters for Momo Juju. And as you can see with augmented reality, we can actually turn into that character. I'm going to do the rest. I know it's supposed to be a Q&A. I'm going to do the rest of the Q&A as the Momo Juju character. So yeah, so this is part of the work we do as well. We do a lot of AR. We have done quite a lot of things with them. Of recent, I know the Euros are happening right now. So we created an augmented reality layer, which is very educating, which was to educate people about the black British footballers who kind of made history. So the first ever black player to play in the England team and all that stuff. And we had them in there. And there was a very nice article that was heading was really powerful. The heading said, uh, black British players immortalized in augmented reality, right? So that was very, very cool to hear all those words put together, just in terms of like way something sounds. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, Kugali related, AR related, even Iwájû related, you can ask more. Even just if you want to know more about me and Tolu, you can do that. Right now would be a good time for Q&A. Tolu, talk right after I finish, just so I see how long the lag is right now.
Okay. Yeah, Hamid, thanks. So, yes,
Right.
we're rounding up now, so people can start sending in their questions, and we will try our best to answer all of them, as long as you're not asking for plot details on Iwájú. Now, I would say one of the things I find really cool about our work in augmented reality is how we are an official lens creator for Snapchat, which and it means apart from just making our own Snapchat filters, we also what's the word? We get to work on projects like the one Hamid just mentioned with alongside Snapchat. Or I remember, was it 2019 or 2020? I think it was 2019 where we made the official Black History Month Snapchat filters, and those had like millions of views. So I see a question where someone says, "Did you guys have a hard time organizing your time, primarily between family and work?" Short answer, yes. Long answer, I'll let Hamid speak for himself. But on my side, yes, I do have. I mean, family and work really, really difficult. I guess when your family understands you and they actually see the results of your work. So it would be one thing if I was doing all this and like maybe was a starving artist. Maybe that might be a problem. I'm meeting now with Disney animation. Nobody's mad. So I think that's one way to look at it. Oh, Hamid, since you're showing off filters, do you still have the one that has all three masks that you could just cycle through them? I think that would be fun to show off too. But Hamid, yeah, you might want to answer the same question. Hard time organizing your time between family and work. Oh, one more thing before Hamid speaks. I would say for me, because obviously we're working with Disney animation on Iwájû, but that doesn't mean all the other work at Kugali stops. We still make comics, we still do augmented reality, we still render some creative services. So I think that's where the difficulty really comes in. balancing the time between working with Disney animation and doing non-Disney Kugali work. But personal time and family, personal time and work, I think I've always been someone who's always been like swamped with a lot of work. So everyone that is close to me knows that about me. I mean, this is a Sunday evening in Nigeria right now. It is 5:43 p.m. where I am in Nigeria. I'm supposed to be chilling with Bay, but here I am on this panel. So you guys owe her because you're borrowing her Tolu time.
Cool.
Yeah, cool one, Hamid. Yeah.
Cool. That's Tolu's mask I'm gonna use for now. It doesn't trap, it just comes another normal mask. So I'll go back to my number one. Anyway, when it comes to balancing the time, it's very interesting because there's that quote that says you do what you love and you don't have to work a day in your life. I think that's a lie. Okay, this is why I say I think that's a lie. So usually when you do what you love, right, and that's work. Okay, I'll describe this weekend for me, right? So I was busy. I had a busy week last week, right? And then this weekend to rest, I was doing a drawing again to rest. That's because I love doing drawings. They help me relax, right? Now I'm drawing at work. I'm drawing at rest. Now sometimes in my head, I have that thought process of why am I drawing something that's just which is not gonna kind of progress the goals, right? When I can draw something that can progress the goals, which means I end up working some ridiculous amount of hours. Now that's I don't mind it right now. I'm still pretty young, so I have a lot more freedom to do that, right? Because sometimes I average about 15 hours a week at work. That's the where I know my nickname is the machine. That's where it comes from. Is the amount of time I spend on work. In terms of family, again, advantage. I'm still pretty young. I have no big responsibilities. No one chasing me on my time as badly. So I tend to spend a lot of time on work, like because work is fun to me. So I do a lot of it most of the time. It's never dread. When it gets dread, it gets bothers me a little bit. So I always keep it very very fun. So yes, you do work non-stop, but it's enjoyable work, so it doesn't feel like stress. There's a big difference between working on an art versus working on something that if you do something you love, even
All
if
right,
it's
Hamid.
all you you like.
Any final words? Anything you would like to close with?
On my end, final words. Africa is coming. Kugali is coming. We're gonna make a lot of noise. We're gonna do you guys proud. We're gonna try and make sure, but we're gonna try and innovate with storytelling moving forward in whichever stories can tell. We're not gonna try and do the same old things. We're always gonna try and do something fresh and new. It's better we fail on something fresh and new than succeed on something everybody has done for the rest of history, right? Because there's always that thought process where people think Africa
Yeah.
is 2 years behind or something like that, a couple of years behind the rest of the world. We are not taking that no more. We are coming swinging. So we're gonna come up. You join us on that journey. Will be absolutely appreciated. We love it. And you guys' support really
And
means a lot to us. We'll not be here without.
exactly, and that's why Hamid tried to crack augmented reality pretty early because no one in the world is really on top of AR yet. It's still more or less a rising technology, and I remember Hamid was like, nah, he doesn't want to get to the point where when people crack AR, then Africa start catching up. He wanted us to be right there at the forefront, trying to crack storytelling in AR, and we have tried and we have failed before, which is part of the process. We did try to create an augmented reality storybook and sell that, and that didn't go great. But yeah, for me, I'll just round up by saying dreams don't turn to dust. It's a phrase I learned from an Owl City song, and I loved it so much. It became my motto. And I keep on having these ridiculous dreams. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it looks like, yeah, that dream is way too big. But I'm already doing some of those things. Like, I mean, I'm literally making the biggest African animated series of all time with the biggest animated company in the world, biggest animation company, sorry, in the world. And it's only going to get better because that's just a towards my dream. I still intend to make really awesome video games. I'll just end by telling you guys are probably not ready for how awesome Iwájû is going to be. I'm pretty sure people have ideas, they have expectations, because they know Disney animation. They probably don't know Kugali as well, so they don't know what to expect from us. So guys, this is the end of our panel. Check kugali.com for more on our comics and everything else we do. We're launching a mobile app soon, so keep an eye out for that. And follow us on social media at Kugali Media. All right, guys, it's been fun spending this time with you. Thank you for your questions. Have a lovely evening, or whatever time it is, wherever you're in the world.
I'm going to repeat what Tolu said since he was lagging a lot. He was pretty much saying, thank you to all of you for having us. And in terms of following, if you want to know more about us, obviously go to kugali.com. If you want to follow us, all our social media is at Kugali Media. Our Snapchat is different, kugali.ar. We should do a lot of work in progress there, so that's why it looks different from the rest. So kugali.com to find everything else. And if you have any other questions, drop it there. It was really lovely having you guys. Lovely to be on this panel, Virtual Con. It has been amazing. Thank you very much.